Debbie got a new commission to do 3 large reliefs at a local children's hospital under construction. This is a big project for both of us here. And as facilities manager, it's my job to give her a place to work and things to work with and on. So the first thing we're going to do is get her easel, which I made a few years ago for a project that was 8 feet wide. And that project was finished, so I cut it down narrower because it was just took up too much room. Now we have 3 panels 3 feet wide, so I'm adding on to it to make it 9 foot 6 inches wide. And this bottom board is going to hold an awful lot of weight. So it's pecan, it's hardwood, and I got lots of screws in it. In a perfect world, these things would be about 3 feet off the floor, and they would be vertical. That's just how they'll be when they're mounted at the hospital, because sculpture looks different from different angles. But it's not a perfect world, and we have a ceiling to contend with, so I'm lifting them as high as I can without bumping into the light fixture. And we do have them leaning back a little bit just for convenience, so they can be picked up, moved around, and put back without having to screw them from the back. Debbie typically models clay on plywood. When she's finished, we'll make a rubber mold and cast it in a permanent material like hydrostone or 4-ton MG, or if we're going to do a bronze, we'll cast it in wax and go to the bronzing process from the wax. And the thickness of the final piece is just basically the thickness of the plywood. So she has smaller pieces, 5/8 of an inch, some little ones at 1/2 inch, and some of the bigger ones 3/4. But at some point, that's not strong enough, because if you have a relief that's say 4 feet tall and it's only 3/4 of an inch thick, and it's poured in hydrostone, which is really, really hard, but a tad brittle, like glass, you run the risk of it breaking when you're trying to pry it out the mold, and they're just not strong enough to handle. Once they're hanging on the wall, they're fine, but they're not robust. So as these pieces get bigger, they need to get thicker. In this case, because the piece is so large, we're going to make the edges 1 5/8 inches thick, and the piece will not be solid. It'll be hollow in the back, which will allow me to put a steel frame on the inside, and that'll both support the relief itself and enable us to securely fasten it to the wall. You don't have any worries about it coming down one day. So on these backboards, I used a 3/8 plywood skin, a good quality plywood, and I built a hardwood frame around the circumference and a few across the middle, and stapled it up nice and tight with glue to make sure it wouldn't be coming off. And then I took the block plane and broke the edges to make sure we wouldn't get a splinter.
That's them, huh?
Damn.
Got some up already?
Yeah, last one.
Whoa! Wait, no, I messed up. I was trying to turn it. Sorry, honey. I turned the wrong thing. It was pointing at the floor. It's recording.
Okay. All right, so what do you think?
I think it's going to be huge. I didn't ask enough.
No, you didn't ask enough money. Call him back and tell him you want twice as much. So what you doing over there?
I am drawing the Blessed Mother sitting in a cypress tree. And then some branches. And I hope they're strong, but she probably doesn't weigh a whole lot anymore. She is an ethereal being, so I'm sure the most delicate little cypress branch would support her weight.